Holy shit. This is one hell of a horror film. The Babadook is written and directed by Jennifer Kent, her directorial debut. Stars Essie Davis and Noah Weissman. I'm playing on my phone. And it tells the story of this woman named Amelia, who's in massive psychological distress 6 years after the death of her husband. Her son is a bit troubled. He makes handcrafted weapons. He doesn't behave very well. He's a bit unstable. Also, it's Daniel Henshaw, Haley McElhinney, Kamala Barbara West, Ben Winspear. If this really is anything, if you know any of these people or any other names, yeah. It's actually made in Australia. $2 million, holy shit. She's going through a major distress. Like 6 years after the death of her husband. It'll be almost 7 from one dialogue scene I heard from one dialogue scene in the movie. Her son is having some issues, like he has behavioral problems. He acts out. He also makes handcrafted weapons. Yeah, he doesn't have any friends. And one day she reads her son this book, this pop-up book that's just mysteriously appeared in their house, called The Babadook. And it just tells a disturbing story, and after that, lots of strange occurrences happen involving the Babadook. I mean, it's just affecting her and Sam, and really a lot. And it was the birth of a hell of an unsettling horror film, the scariest and best one that came out in 2014, and probably the best of this decade so far. What else do I have to say other than the fact this was fantastic? This was a fantastic horror film. I was scared out of it. I was tense as hell, and it shocked the hell out of me. Now let me get straight to this thing. What's the problem with horror movies today? A lot of horror movies today rely on supposedly create an atmosphere by relying on cheap jump scares, and also have incredibly stupid characters. Not to mention a lot of stereotypes: a dumb blonde, and like a stereotypical bitch, a jock, annoying characters. Overall, it relies on false jump scares, and the lack of atmosphere, and overall are not scary. They're jokes. They could be parodies of horror films. But this is one that is a truly fantastic horror film for many different reasons. Why? This movie is not. This is a horror film that's dark, disturbing, unsettling, depressing. It's a mature look at grief, loss, depression. It works perfectly. See, you do that. She cannot get past, Amelia cannot get past the death of her husband. She is struggling to cope with it, and this is the main thing that's happened to her. It's led to her being and also her son just acting so disobediently, being so disobedient. She's going through so much physical and psychological stress. This is really more of psychological horror, and that's a fantastic thing. And there's also like a threat of this creature. The Babadook's like this threat of it's like a creature that's like a threat to her. But one thing that really amazes me is that this movie is very, very clever and very skillful in terms of production and really anything else. See, this movie is very well shot. There's some excellent cinematography, great use of lighting, and the production design. There's a lot of different dark colors. It just fits well with the atmosphere and the tone. The cinematographer is Radek Lagzuk, from below LADCCZUK. But he did a fantastic job with the cinematography. It just looks beautiful, great shots, but also the way they're framed, it just absolutely fits because it really, and also the colors in the background, it's just like very minimal, sometimes like very dark areas or like minimal lighting. Just makes for a great atmosphere, but also the movie is so unsettling and disturbing from beginning to end. I mean, when you see the thing about this, let's go, actually before I get to that, let's go to the acting. Essie Davis. excellent as Amelia. You could see this person just so distraught, going through so much stress. She just can't get past the death of her husband. She just doesn't have a sense of closure. She can't get past it. She feels conflicted by it. It's just eating her away. It's eating her sanity away. And her son, Noah Weissman, you kind of start out hating him, but this kid is great. This is one of the best kid actors I've seen in years. That really says something if you don't believe me. You may hate him, you may be annoyed by him, but he's a well-developed character. See, this thing is, a lot of these characters now in horror films are so one-dimensional, and they're so stupid. Here, they are so well kept. Also, some supporting cast, like Amelia's sister, very well developed. Also, like Amelia's sister's daughter, well developed as well. Also, another great kid actor. See, there is some great. There's just a lot of great things happening about it. There's some very well developed characters, but also it has a great story. Not only does it deal with grief, not only does it portray grief, depression, and loss in a very mature way. It also it's portrayed in a it's dark. It portrays it so well, but also it has a very heartfelt story. See, the characters are very well developed, and you're invested in the story because you care about them and the situations that they're going through, the conflict they're going through. It works perfectly as a great. See, the way it just works perfectly. There's nothing else for me to say other than the fact that this movie does a great job presenting its characters, developing them, and of course giving us a great story in order for us to be invested in it. See, this is a horror film with a lot more to it than today. They actually have a very, very mature story, but also the atmosphere is fantastic. The atmosphere comes from mainly the sense, there's from her grief, like the psychological stress she's going through. It's mainly psychological horror, and I love that. Sounds of the Lambs. But the thing about this is but also there are some events that are present in this movie. You feel like Amelia at times because due to her stress, but also there are some events that are present that there's like a sense of disbelief, particularly with some of the events that happen. There's like some scenes that happen in the movie, and when she describes them, there's a time where it cuts to a scene like she does something, but it cuts to a scene and it almost like debunks the fact that okay, like this event did not happen. She was possibly losing her sanity, or maybe she was hallucinating, or maybe imagining something. There's also a sense of disbelief because some of the events there's like a sense like you don't know if it's real or something of her imagination or even a dream. Okay, there's no dream sequences, but there is a sense that you don't know if it's real or not. And wow, it works so perfectly. See, and it really makes you think about something. Think about the heartfelt story. Also connects things about this, like things that it really makes you. It treats like, God damn it. It makes you really wonder about some things. Your past, the people you care about, your friends and family. It really makes you think about that. But also it displays that in a mature way. It does it so perfectly. But also there's a lot of metaphorical symbolic imagery. The creature, holy shit, that thing scared the hell out of me. The way it's actually animated was done with stop motion animation, in case anyone wants to know, particularly film buffs. It was a very unique way of animating, but also the appearance of the creature, oh god, it just gets chills up my spine. Just the way it moves, its appearance, and even one point where you see its face for a brief time, it does it so perfectly. The atmosphere mostly comes from an unstable living situation, and this makes it even worse. It still creates an unfortunate living situation that starts really escalating out of control, not really out of control, but it starts becoming more and more unstable. It works perfectly. I mean, knowing the fact how much she involving her past and just seeing her go through so much stress. And I tell you, there's even one scene that just creeped the hell out of me, got me chills on my spine, not because it was really presented in a horrific way. It's her son is one time screaming over the Babadook, he has this fear of it after reading the book, he just can't control himself over it. And when they're in the car, he and his mom are fighting over, he is just losing his mind, and he screams, and then he just passes out. He's unconscious. That just left me so disturbed. And it doesn't make it any better when they're at a hospital the next scene, explaining how that happened. It just made me more disturbed for okay, your brain can overheat for stuff like that and you can pass out. Ugh. Seriously, it's kind of weird how something like that happens, even though it's not really meant to be horror. It's just meant to be presented like a scientific way that kind of explains it, and of course it is factual. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if that was fake, that'd be ridiculous. But ugh, it's kind of more the idea of that and how that actually happens just left me unsettled. But there are some events that you probably never want to happen that do happen. This movie just takes no restraints with its dark tone. It really does. It goes pretty damn dark, and I have to say, it works perfectly. But also, you can see some connections and parallels between between Amelia's living situation and the pop-up book itself. Seriously, it's fantastic. And it's one hell of a creepy pop-up book, I can tell you that. Oh my god. Seriously. And also, when you hear the creature talking, this like guttural voice, it just sounds all gross and nasty. Perfect. Nothing else I can say other than the fact that it just works so well. It also just fitting the creature's appearance, and it's ominous. Like, just ominous and all that. It just fits so well. It just left me so disturbed. When you see, to be honest, the real thing is, it's more of a symbol. To be honest, I think that the Babadook is a symbol of the past. Of, you know, the grief, like maybe it's her just, you know, like her sanity, or maybe this could be one thing, her sanity. My thing is, it could be her sanity. Like, you know, the past, like just she can't get past it, and her sanity is just eating away, and like as the Babadook gets close to her, it just causes her to go more and more insane. She can't really control herself, and I think that works because I feel like it's a symbol of her declining sanity. That's what I think it is. Now, the ending of this film, it may leave you a little bit unsatisfied. For me, I was fine with it. It still has a bit of I think the symbolism of that scene, of that ending, works because your past is not too far away. You may be far from your past, but it's never going to leave you. You may be past it, but you won't be away from it. Now, I know I may have given something away. If I have given something away, I heavily apologize. But let me tell you this. If there's any spoilers here away, go into this with an open mind. Because seriously, I only spoiled, like, I didn't really spoil anything. I'm just describing it. And sometimes I'm treading a little lightly, but it's sometimes I'm kind of treading in a way. It works perfectly. Just go into this with an open mind, and who knows, you may enjoy it. The movie is... But one thing I also want to talk about, there's also some great character moments. One of my favorite scenes in the entire movie is when she's at... her sister's daughter's name is Ruby, and they went to her party. There's a scene like all these moms are just talking around the table. She's sitting there, she doesn't look very happy, and they're just complaining about some dumb things, you know, about oh, the kids are taking away some time. Taking away like time from, like, they have no time to go to gym. And oh my god, this was excellent. She said, well, that's a fucking tragedy. Well, I think something like that. Either that or maybe I'm overemphasizing that by placing the F word in there. Comment below if you know the quote. That's a real tragedy. I think that's what it is. Comment below the quote. It says, like, you know, and she keeps telling, like, you know, you don't have time to go to the gym. How do you cope? I love that scene so much because it is a character moment. You can see the fact that she just feels, you can see this bit of anger in her. Like, okay, you're complaining about not going to the gym, but I lost my husband. How is that an issue? How is that a tragedy? My god. That's what I'm kind of thinking. It's I love it. It's a character moment. Seriously. I mean, when I originally watched this movie, I didn't get long into it. I got like 30 minutes into it. And once that character moment hit, it's actually half an hour into the movie. Holy shit, I loved it. That was my favorite scene. Is it still my favorite scene? It might just be. I love it. I mean, my god. The direction is excellent. I mean, Jennifer Kent offers up some excellent, great, very well developed characters, a great, an unsettling atmosphere, and the cinematography is absolutely excellent. This is a true horror film. Horror films today suck, but this is one of the few, glimpses of light in that genre. It truly is what I consider a modern horror masterpiece. I mean, come on. Okay, if you want I mean, if you're not sold on this film, let me get something straight. Let me say something else. William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist. I didn't see it, but come on, that's considered a horror classic. He says like the scariest film that he's seen in a long time. He's never been this scared by a movie. I was scared too. It left me so unsettled. It doesn't throw jump scares in your face. There's not one jump scare. Not one jump scare. It has a lot of great building tension and horror, building jump. It just like it's really just the atmosphere. The music is also great. It fits well the atmosphere. Just everything for this film, everything in terms of production values, works in this film's favor and delivers the scares subtly, but also really sometimes subtly, but sometimes it really delivers them and it just makes you tense. It just makes you unsettled. Seriously, I was uncomfortable. I was getting chills up my spine. I never screamed, I swear. There were times where I kind of wanted to because, oh my god. I seriously wish horror films be like this. Who knows? Crimson Peak might just beat this thing out for best horror film of the decade. I kind of doubt that, but at the same time, I still hope I might be shitting myself because who knows? It might be better or as good. You know, it could be a tie between Babadook and Crimson Peak, but we'll wait and see. It's like excited for that movie, guys. I mean, this Babadook is more than just a horror film. It's not more than just scary, but also has a very well developed characters and a very heartfelt story, that communicates grief, depression, and loss perfectly. It does it in a mature way, and it resonates very well. I loved it. I loved it. The Babadook gets a 5 out of 5. I mean, this is a horror film that you guys need to see. If you haven't seen it, horror fans, you'll be so happy to see a good horror film. And I really hope you're happy. I really hope you enjoy it because I loved it. Guys, comment below. What do you think of the Babadook? What is your favorite horror film this decade so far? And do you still hope that? Do you think the horror genre is dead, or do you still think that horror film is still worth sticking? That still has something worth sticking around for? Comment below and subscribe my channel for more videos.